As you pull into the parking lot and get out of your car, you can already hear their cries. As you enter the building, they get louder, and you're not even to their cages yet. The first cage you come to has a large bunch of fur on the floor who doesn't even get up to see what the commotion is. The second cage has 2 rambunctious puppies in it, barking and crying for attention, but people like puppies and they'll be adopted soon. The last cage you come to has a large mutt waiting patiently, not crying or barking, and you read from his information that he's been there for months. Will you be the one to take him home? I have experience with rescue pets, and I've had several, and I've also done research on the overcrowding of animal shelters and overpopulation. I gave a survey to 10 people with 15 questions about their opinions on animals in shelters, and my first question was, I think there are too many animals in shelters. All 10 people strongly agreed that there are too many animals in shelters. What surprised me with my results of the survey are that not very many people played into the stereotypes of shelter pets. Only one person mildly agreed that shelter pets are aggressive. And I wonder, with not very many people playing into the stereotypes, why aren't more animals being adopted from shelters? Because the number of animals in shelters is too high, people should adopt from animal shelters to reduce the population of abandoned animals. First, I will talk about the overcrowding in animal shelters. Overcrowding is caused by abandonment and that the animals are left to breed uncontrollably. The ASPCA says that 6.5 million animals enter shelters each year, while 1.5 million of those are euthanized. 163.8 million pets are owned. So if you compare 6.5 to 163.8, it doesn't seem like a lot. But have you ever seen even 100 dogs together at once? To kill 1.5 million would be heartbreaking. The ASPCA says 44% of homes have a dog, while 35% have a cat. That's less than half. So if even 10% of those remaining homes adopted an animal, we could wipe out shelters. Now, although the shelters are empty, there are still plenty of animals living on the streets, and they just live, breed, and die alone. The causes of overcrowding are abandonment and overbreeding. The ASPCA says 45% of abandonment is caused by pet problems, and this means that owners can't handle behavioral problems like aggression, the size of the animal, or health problems. Overbreeding also causes overcrowding. Animalabuse.org says that 2 dogs who mate can then multiply through their descendants to 60,000 dogs in 6 years. And 2 cats can multiply to 420,000 cats in 7 years. Overbreeding leads to overpopulation of pets. So the problem is that shelters are overcrowded because people abandon their pets and animals overbreed, causing overpopulation. Next, I will talk to you about how you can help. To solve the problem, adopt from a shelter instead of a pet store or breeder, and spay or neuter your pets. If people would adopt from a shelter instead of a pet store or breeder, there would be no need for pet stores or breeders, and animal shelters would not be crowded. People like to buy from pet stores and breeders because they can get puppies or kittens and they're purebred. But the Oxford Lafayette Humane Society says 25 to 30% of animals in shelters are purebreds. Most people don't like to check because shelters aren't fun places to be. They're very sad. The shelters closest to me are in Zanesville, across from the Ohio University campus at the Muskingum County Dog Pound and Animal Shelter Society. Now, to solve overpopulation, we should spay or neuter our pets. The Oxford Lafayette Humane Society says that 70,000 pets are born each year. If we spay or neuter, this number will go down. So to solve the problem of overcrowding and overpopulation, we should adopt from shelters and spay or neuter our pets. You would think that adopting from shelters and having them spayed or neutered would solve the overcrowding problem and less animals wouldn't be euthanized. So picture a world where shelters are not overcrowded and animals are not being euthanized. So you go adopt one from a shelter. You have now brought down the overpopulation of that shelter, and you have also benefited yourself. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say that having a pet can decrease your blood pressure, cholesterol, triglyceride levels, anxiety, and depression. This leads to a lower chance of heart attack and stroke, And it also leads to you having a healthier lifestyle with your pet. Now that you have a pet, it's your responsibility to get them spayed or neutered. If you adopt from a shelter and they're at a certain age, they will already be spayed or neutered. But the recommended age is 6 months. So now that you have adopted, you've reduced the overcrowding of the animal shelter, also the overpopulation, and you've also brought yourself health benefits. Plus, there are no sad and lonely pets. Finally, I reach my conclusion. So I hope I made you think today about adopting from a shelter and to get your pets spayed or neutered. Do you remember my story from the beginning about the sad animals in the shelter? Do you think now you may want to rescue one? When you rescue a pet from a shelter, you reduce the shelter's overcrowding. This also means less pets will be euthanized. Now that you have one, you should get them spayed or neutered. After that, you have reduced the future pet population. I now ask you to consider to adopt from a shelter. Go online and research shelters near you, and you will learn how to adopt from those shelters. Some people are not in the place to adopt right now, so go out and volunteer because every little bit helps. Visit dodo.com and read the article 13 Creative Ways to Volunteer for Animal Shelters and Rescues. This gives different ways as easy as doing laundry for the shelter or fun ways to raise money. I would also like for you to educate your family and friends on spaying and neutering your pets to reduce the overpopulation. Everyone can do their part in helping animals. Be the person who rescues the lonely dogs from my story or volunteer to make a difference. This is my citations list.